Welcome back to the official CABSAT podcast powered by Northtelecom. Joining me now is Joe Appa, who's the VP of Sales for EMEA for Rivada Space Networks. Welcome, Joe.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you indeed. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. Really excited, enjoying the CABSAT atmosphere and the busyness of the event. It's fantastic so far.
Thank you. So why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and a little bit about Rivada Space Networks?
Sure. So I'm Joe Appa, Rivada Space Networks. I'm the VP of Sales for EMEA, and I'm focused very much on helping to really grow the business for Rivada moving forward. We are launching an exciting series of 600 satellites in two phases, two lots of 300. So the first 300 is for a global LEO network, which is going to offer something very radical. It's very much a game changer in the industry. We're doing something that nobody else has done before in the world of satellite communications, which is implement a global network that doesn't have any gateways on the ground, that implements laser into satellite laser links from day one across all of our 300 satellites. So what we're doing is really creating this mesh network in space. And again, no gateways on the ground, which means it's a highly secure network that can deliver very low latency and very high bandwidth, which is underpinned by SLAs moving forward, which means we can guarantee with standards a very high CIR into our customer base. So, and that's getting fantastic reaction from the market. You know, people today are very concerned from a security aspect about their connectivity, their data. There's a lot of talk about data sovereignty in the market. There's a lot of concern about data and traffic and how that can potentially be compromised. So this is really a way of delivering something that is highly secure, can deliver, as I say, that data sovereignty. And just by definition of that, it, again, is just getting fantastic reaction and interest from the market.
Interesting. So you touched a little bit on it. What is the importance of low latency satellite networks, and what is the impact on society?
Yeah, I mean that's quite broad. I mean the importance for low latency is clearly applications. So you can do things now that have never been done over satellites because the latency now is at a low level that certain applications can now be run over the satellite. But if you think about it, the old traditional satellites, especially over geos at 36,000 kilometers, you would always often hear and see visibly that delay. So you know, I often think of some of the media clips that were being run over satellite or interviews being conducted, and you would always see that delay and hear that delay. You know, that very much now disappears, goes away. Certain applications that we run today over satellite couldn't be done at the 600 to 800 millisecond delay over a geo, which now less than 100 milliseconds is able to deliver and able to give you. So there are things that can be done very much in a very near live fashion that gives you a true user experience. One example that I was working on with a project was in the ROV market with subsea, with an offshore platform that was piloting an ROV underwater. Typically that's tethered with a cable. Some projects looked at doing that live, piloting the ROV live from a remote site. In order to achieve that ability to deliver that project, the demand was it needed to be less than 300 milliseconds.
Yeah, of course, because every millisecond can have a big impact.
It absolutely does. You know, and there is a difference between what is latency, what is real latency. We're not talking about measuring latency to a gateway. Because we don't implement the gateway, we can absolutely truly measure latency from one point, a terminal, to its end point, the received terminal. So, you know, that true latency path not only can be measured precisely, but it can be followed exactly. You know exactly where your data path is. That can be seen. It can be shown. And again, that's very important for companies, governments, militaries that want that assurity of understanding of the path in which their data takes.
Okay, interesting. Okay, what are some challenges in providing low latency connectivity globally? You touched a little bit about it, but why don't we elaborate a little bit on it?
Yeah, so challenges today versus with what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, the challenges today with delivering that kind of latency number is at times, it can be difficult to understand the path that data takes because, again, traditionally and currently, everybody uses a gateway.
Yeah.
Depending on how that traffic leaves the gateway is where the challenge begins.
Okay.
Because at times, you have a couple of choices here. To get traffic out of the gateway, you either deliver that across the internet. There's a challenge, understanding where that path actually is.
Yeah.
And the compromise potentially on security in delivering traffic across the internet. Or even if you were to, let's say, transition that traffic across to a fiber network, depending again on the end destination, there could be multiple actors involved in delivering that.
And different nodes, different things.
Different nodes, different partners.
Yeah.
There could be a complex makeup of different actors involved in the end-to-end delivery across a fiber link that we can eliminate today because, again, not having that need to go down to a point on the ground means that we don't have to touch a gateway, we don't have to use fiber. That all gets eliminated. So the challenges we see today, which are real, which exist, can simply be taken away.
Okay. It sounds too good to be true, really.
And I've heard that said on a couple of occasions. It does sound too good to be true, but it is true.
Okay.
The other comment is the sooner you deliver, the better.
Yeah.
Because this is something we really want to embrace and we would really want to start using.
Okay.
So, we're incredibly excited about getting this project up and into orbit as soon as possible. We know the customers are there. We know they want to start trialing immediately. And absolutely, I'm extremely confident of the uptake across our network that this will see.
Okay, great. And next, why are inter-satellite links important to provide high security and high throughput in orbit?
Yeah, I mean, the importance can't be, I would say, underestimated here. This is called innovation in our world. We are now seeing the ability to use inter-satellite links as something that's very real. Go back a few years and, where we were more at the testing phase and still what was being implemented in space were satellites without laser links.
Yeah.
Now we see other organizations, other LEOs looking at doing an upgrade path because the technology's there, it's proven, it works. So moving over from a Gen 1 into a Gen 2 and upgrading their satellites. The advantage at times isn't to be first to market. Sometimes it really fits you well not to be the first person trying to do what we're doing because we can absolutely embrace technology and innovation today. Yeah. So all of our satellites, as I said, from day one, will have inter-satellite links applied. Yeah. In fact, each satellite has 4 laser diodes installed on each of those satellites. So we can create this mesh network from day one. And there's an amazing throughput between that satellite link. Our baseband throughput is 10 gigabits per second.
Okay.
And just the physics, light traveling in space in a vacuum is just simply faster than light traveling through glass or fiber. Sure. So, you have that innovation has created the ability that's available today. We can implement it today. It's faster than light traveling across fiber on the ground. So there's a case here that says what we're doing is the potential to create a brand new business space. And if you think about even traditional communication users today, traditional companies, I mean, that send large amounts of data today across fiber, that there's a case here that says consider actually moving your business and your data requirements into space. The longer the distance, let's say around the 4,000 kilometers and above, it's faster to transfer and more secure to transfer that data in space than it would be on ground.
Okay.
So that's also opening up new interests, new verticals, new markets, whereby security again and latency play a key factor in people saying, actually, we want to test with you when you're up and running because our data on the ground now can be delivered in a faster fashion. Let's say from New York to Sydney, it's a no-brainer. It's quicker and more secure to do that in space than it would be on the ground today using fiber. Okay.
And finally, how are phased array antenna technology impacting the next generation of mobility?
That's another innovation that we're seeing, more advancement that we're seeing in that space and that segment. Something else that, again, we can embrace today in today's market. There's a whole world of new innovation coming, even when I look at, and again, to our opportunity here.
Yeah.
The first 300 that I spoke of gives us our global coverage.
Yeah.
We already have a filing for our next 300 satellites that will follow soon after the first 300. And I do think, again, we're able to embrace innovation as it moves forward, which means that we will improve on the laser technology, we'll improve on the onboard processing, we'll improve on the specific antennas that we're able to install. So I do see this ability to be able to provide things in a different and even better way than we're proposing with the first 300. So it's incredibly exciting to be able to be a part of all of that.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on. Thank you so much, Joe, for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join us here on the podcast, and we wish you a great CABSAT.
Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you for the questions and the interest. That's great. Thank you.